Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to a video on the channel. Just before we get started, just wanted to give a quick mention to Tom Lockyer and anyone affected by the really, sad event of yesterday. Hopefully, it makes us full recovery and everyone involved is doing okay. It really does put in perspective things like FPL when in contrast to real life events. We do have a wildcard video for you here today going into game week 18. I also just wanted to say a big thank you for all the support on the channel, especially in the last couple of game weeks and videos. Think we got about 13 subscribers in the space of 24 hours this week, which took us over the 100 subscriber threshold. And just really grateful for all the support, all the engagement in the channel, any comments and likes on the videos. It's just fantastic. So yeah, thank you for that. Does have to be said that this video is being recorded just as the Sunday games are kicking off. So any changes to the lineup, I will put in the comments. But if you've got any questions, just give it a mention as well. So onto the team, and we're going to start with a Chelsea triple up. Now, Chelsea have got Wolves twice, Palace twice, Luton and Fulham in the next seven. We talked about their fixtures for a while now. I think Colwell is someone who, at the price, is fantastic. He started 14 out of the 17 games this season, and Palmer actually has 10 attacking returns in his last 11 games. Both are obvious for me. Even if you've not got on Palmer and you're a bit gutted about the price rises, I think he's someone that will go up even further, especially as we make transfers over the Christmas period and teams take out players like Son and Salah, and they're going to look at getting in players like Palmer instead. I've also gone with Petrovic in goal. I think just Chelsea's fixtures kind of speak for themselves, and I think a double up for some game weeks is absolutely fine. He also rotates really well with Leno. Fulham have had two clean sheets in the last three. They've got Burnley twice, Bournemouth twice, and Everton in the next seven. When they play Arsenal and Chelsea, Petrovic plays Luton and Fulham. And Leno is also the highest scoring keeper. So I think he must be doing something right if he's getting all those fantasy league points. So he seems someone who rotates really well with Petrovic. Neither keeper breaks the bank, and they're quite easy to move off if you did just want to take one of them, save a bit of cash, and get in a cheap goalkeeper instead of either. I've also gone with the Arsenal double up here. They've got Liverpool next game week, and then they've got West Ham, Fulham, Palace, and Forest in the next four. They have really good fixtures coming up. I think Saka is someone who started every game. Oh, sorry, Saliba is someone who started every game, and Saka is currently on 13 attacking returns in 15 games this season. Both of these players, whilst you kind of the inconvenience of getting them in for a Liverpool game because you don't know how it's going to go, but I think you plan if you've got like Salah and Son in your team, you kind of can't plan in any more transfers in the next few game weeks. So having players in the medium to long term who have these good fixtures will maybe cost you in this next game week, but they will save you in future game weeks. We've also got a bit of a chaotic Christmas schedule where you don't really know how many transfers you're going to need for things like injuries or players that have been dropped. So I think both of these players represent good value over the Christmas time. I've also gone with a double up between Pedro Porro and Kulusevski. So Pedro Porro is the best Spurs defender. He's also one of the best defenders in FPL at the moment because of his attacking returns and he's on set pieces most of the time. Kulusevski is kind of my replacement for Son. As we just said, if I had Son in this team, you're going to want to take him out when him and Salah go to their respective international competitions. So rather than doing that, then I think if I was a wildcarding now, I would go for Kulusevski and just cover my Spurs bases. I think I'd go for him instead of Richarlison just because he seems a bit more consistent, and you know that Kulusevski is definitely going to play when fit. I have still got Salah in this team. I think you can afford to have one of Son and Salah in your wildcard team at the moment. Son is easier to replace than Salah is, hence why he's in here. He is Mr. Consistent, and when he does go, he is a player that you can easily, if you've got two free transfers, you can swap him out for somebody cheaper and upgrade one of his strikers back to Haaland. I've also gone with Anthony Gordon. Now, Newcastle's fixtures are really good. There's a couple of tricky ones in there, but I'd like to think now they're out of Europe, they can maybe get a bit more consistency moving forward. Anthony Gordon and Palmer are two players after game week 21 when there is no Son and Salah. I fail to see a midfield that doesn't have these two players in. I would absolutely get them in now if you haven't already, just because they're going to be highly owned and you cover that sort of ownership gap. Like if they don't do well, they're in enough people's teams so it won't affect your rank. But if they do well, you can benefit from having them in your team and they're at a good price point. I've gone with a double up for Aston Villa. I think Villa have Sheffield twice, Burnley and Everton in the next six. Conster started every game this season. He's rotation proof. whether he's at right back or at centre back. Watkins' form speaks for himself as well. He's another player whose ownership I really expect to increase a bit more when you get rid of those big hitters in Son and Salah. Maybe Haaland's out for the long term as well. So Watkins is someone who would be sort of the next best striker, I think, outside of Erling Haaland. So his ownership is going to be really high in that sense. I've also gone with Solanke. Forest, Fulham, and West Ham, three of the next six. He's actually got 5 goals in his last 6 games. Obviously, there was the unfortunate event yesterday, so we don't really know how if he would have scored any more points. But even regardless, he's a player that you should get into your team. And I also rounded out the front three with Cunha as well. He has 5 attacking returns in his last 5, and that is something that's really gone under the radar, I think, for that price point. He does give you a nice way back to Haaland. You can swap Salah in Gameweek 21, and Cunha has Chelsea, Brentford, and Everton in the meantime, and he is on form. Rounding out the bench, I also have Trusty from Sheffield United. He is the cheapest player, and he is playing week in, week out. So when I put this team into Fantasy Football Hub, shout out to them, it did give me a 93% rating. Always think if you're 93, 94, 95%, that is pretty much there or thereabouts. So many variables in football that you can't take into account just with only data. So I think anything in that rating is pretty good. And it's only 95.3 million. So it really does, like we say, give you that way back into Haaland if and when he is fit. The strengths for me are deep bench. We've already talked about getting Haaland back, but the Christmas rotation is a nightmare. Certain players won't play. Players pick up injuries really quick, and there's something that you do need to take into account. So having 1 or 2 players on your bench is just really nice. Although having a deep bench does give you those selection headaches. Sometimes you might make the wrong call. That's kind of just how it goes sometimes in FPL. Does also take up transfers. So I'm already, if I was wildcarding here with this team, I'm already planning to take out Salah and get in Haaland in game week 21, give or take. That would be 2 transfers in itself. If somebody else does get suspended or picks up an injury, then that is also a problem, which is why we've gone with Kulusevski instead of Son. So hopefully this helps you out. Even if you're not wildcarding, maybe it's going to give you some ideas for your transfers. Let me know what you think about my team. Is there anyone that I've missed out that you would recommend getting in? And thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next one.